You're in the kitchen.
What's up, everybody? We're back with another episode of The Drop. It's your host, Anna Bright, and her guest every single week, Dylan Frazier. Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Maybe one day we'll get Dylan to kind of come up with the prep and interview me, but anybody who knows Dylan, he's not really about that life. Some might say he does not have that dog in him.
Some who don't know
Dylan,
me well
Dylan,
may say that.
Yeah, Dylan, would you say that you have that dog in you?
I don't know. I guess we're going to have to pull out an x-ray, but no, probably not. I probably would not say I have that dog in me.
Yeah, who would you say does? When you think of someone who has that dog in them, who's the first person that comes to mind?
Rafa Hewitt.
Rafa Hewitt?
Yeah.
Is it just because he barks?
Yeah, he's like, yeah. I think Rafa, I don't know. When I hear someone say dog, that's just who I think of as Rafa.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's totally fair. All right, everybody. So this was an action-packed weekend. You know, we had both the PPA event in Newport Beach and the U.S. Open. I don't really know what people want to hear about more, but Dylan and I both played in Newport. I feel like Newport was pretty interesting. You know, we had Paris Todd with Triple Crown. Congrats to her. That's definitely a huge payday for her, and, you know, some close matches. So we'll probably touch on that a little bit, but let's start with Newport. Dylan, first men's doubles title of the year when all three of the big teams were there. Congratulations. Give me a quick rundown on how you felt about that. You know, just talk to me about men's.
Yeah, it was good. Got the win over Matt and Riley in the finals, who are obviously a tough team. We were on Ben and Collin's side of the draw, slated to play them in the semifinal match.
For the 5th time out of 7 events, you were on their side of the draw.
Really? I do feel like we're on their side almost all the time. I guess the randomization doesn't go well for us. Maybe they I don't know. What do you think? Like, we're the 4th seed right now, so I mean, like, you can't complain too much about getting on Ben and Collin's side when they're the number 1 seed and you're the true 4 seed. But I feel like J-Dub and I are going to get enough points to get the 3 seed at least by the end of this year. And at that point, I'm going to want to definitely be on Matt and Riley's side more often than not. But if they just randomize it, so it's 50-50. I feel like they should do, like, if you're the 3 seed, I get that they want to mix it up at every tournament so you're not getting the same matchups every time. But at the same time, like, what's the incentive to be the number 3 seed or number 3 ranked team over the 4? So maybe instead of like just doing it 50-50, they need to say, okay, in the next 3 tournaments, the true number 3 seed is going to get the 3 seed at 2 of them. And then at 1 of them, we'll make you the 4 seed.
Interesting.
Something like that. I don't know. It's just 50-50 right now. So like, there's no difference between being the 3rd seed and the 3rd ranked team and 4th ranked team.
For sure. Who was happier that Ben and Collin lost? You and J-Dub or Matt and Riley?
I think probably Matt and Riley, honestly. I mean, I don't know how happy they were. I don't mind playing Ben and Collin. I kind of like the challenge of it.
Okay, don't lie to me. You would rather play Gabe Tardio and Garrett Whitehead than Ben and Collin.
Yeah. For sure.
Don't lie to me.
No, it's not like I wasn't happy about it. It was funny when I found out about Ben and Collin losing. I was sitting in the players' tent with Rafa and Christian, and we were about to play each other. And then we found out that Ben and Collin lost, and Rafa was pretty excited about it too. He's like, he said, whoever wins this next match between us is gonna win the whole thing, or is at least gonna make it to Sunday. And it was actually a close match. They were up on a 7-3 in the 3rd game. So we had to claw our way back and fight through that one. That was our toughest match of the weekend.
Wow.
Rafa Hewitt could smell Championship Sunday.
That is so funny.
He was so close.
He's got that dog in him, you know? He smells a little blood. He's going to latch on. I just think this is a funny anecdote. I watched a little bit of that match of, you know, Ben Newell and Philip Locklear taking down Ben and Collin. And Ben and Collin actually looked pretty good in the first, up 10-6. They're known to have slow starts in the early rounds. Like, I think in Daytona they went 3 in an early round. Like, it happens. then it was just a string of like unlucky and uncharacteristic, like not normal points, and they end up losing 12-10, and then it just continued. And I felt like Collin played worse than normal. But Ben and Philip are a weird team. Would you say that when Ben is on, he has some of the fastest hands?
Yeah, Ben
I would
can
say
have some
I feel like the
crazy gets.
fastest. Sometimes you watch Ben Newell and it's just like a joke.
Yeah.
It's like he puts his body where the ball's gonna be, and he's sitting so hard backhand, and it's just like this like whip.
Yeah.
Like watching Tyson and Ben last year beat like it was like a Selkirk, like that tournament where they mixed partners a lot, and Ben
Yeah.
and Tyson got like second place, like beat, I don't know, like Matt and Collin, maybe something like that. It was just the funniest thing ever. So, kudos to them. But then this is a funny thing I wanted to say. So, for those who don't know, at these pro tournaments, tons of the pros are betting with each other. There's a ton of little like $5, $10, $20 bets that are going out. And so after Ben and Philip beat Ben and Collin, so now Ben Newell and Philip Locklear are going to play Gabe Tardio and Garrett. And everybody is like betting against Ben Newell and Philip Locklear, even though they just beat the Johns brothers. Everyone's like, there's no way they're going to string two together. I mean, not to disrespect like Gabe and Garrett, but it's like these guys just beat the Johns, and everyone's like, there's no way they win again. And they didn't. They lost handily in two, and then Dylan and J-Dub quickly dispatched them. But really fun tournament all around. I believe that's the first loss out of the three big men's teams that's not too like within each other, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
That's a huge deal. I feel like Ben and Collin will probably come back with a vengeance next event. The other big thing to happen in men's doubles that we have to talk about, Pablo Tellez giving off a hands gesture, to some fans. What are your thoughts on that, Dylan?
Well, speaking of people that have that dog in them, I think Pablo's got to qualify for that list.
You're right. So for those so Dylan and I are talking about that. We were talking a little bit before we started recording. I am compiling a list of men who I think have that dog in them. For MLP related purposes, I only want dogs on my team. And I think you're right. I'm going to have to add Pablo right now. So actually, yeah. I can't forget that.
Pablo's definitely got a little bit of an edge to him, and it's starting to show a little bit at some of these tournaments. Obviously with the outburst at this last tournament. I heard
he was
that
the first person to get carded at MLP.
Yeah. And people were surprised by that. But now
I was surprised.
You were?
I was like, I didn't know Pablo that well. Hadn't watched him too much.
Yeah.
Does he have that like dog? When we think dog, I'm thinking like a German Shepherd or something. Or does he have like a Chihuahua?
No, I think it's a German Shepherd. I think Pablo's a little bit edgy. He comes from Colombia. They've got lots of edgy people there in Colombia, I feel like.
Yeah. So he comes from Colombia. So why do you let J-Dub call them the Mexican amigos?
I just let J-Dub say whatever he wants. J-Dub just kind of has a past. He can say pretty much anything he wants, and people aren't going to like take him seriously or anything, like, because that would be offensive to a lot of people probably.
It's
coming from J-Dub, it's like, okay, kind of funny.
No, it's insane because we were watching James on like a clip of that interview, and we were just dying laughing, and it's like, me or you like can't say this. They're not even from Mexico. they're from Colombia and Argentina, and then Gabe is from Bolivia. It's just like, it's absurd, and he could just say it, and everyone thinks it's funny. No one thinks it's like racist. But
another thing J-Dub said to me when we were practicing with him that was funny was we were playing him, and he's like, we're about to play him, and we're gonna do like 2 out of 3. Loser has to buy boba for the other team, and J-Dub goes, let's take down these taco stands.
There's taco stands. That makes no sense.
Exactly. It's funny though.
Oh wow, that's insane. No, but what are your thoughts, Dylan? So I see a lot of people talking on Facebook about like, the rowdiness of the crowd. This isn't tennis. I don't know if you were there that match, but I was watching like in the VIP area. It was so loud. It was so rowdy. It was crazy. And I thought it was great. What do you think?
Specific match, Pablo and Fed against James and Tyson. Yeah. I heard that one of the comments was that Pablo is just a Challenger League chica. and
Yeah.
that was one of the comments that was made. But Fed and Pablo said it was going on the whole time. They said that Tyson had like some Rowdy fans. I think it was like a group of them from, I forget what city they're from, but they came from like a city together and just to support Tyson or something like that. And they had some support on the left side and right side. So wherever Pablo and Fed went, they had some people chirping at him the whole game.
Yeah, I feel like Tyson and James are a bit of a, fanboy juggernaut. They kind of appeal to anyone who wants to get rowdy.
Yeah.
Can resonate with one of them. But I had to get something for James in their first match, and I just go and they're playing on like court 20, way down, and there are tons of people watching them play like qualifiers or something, and people are going crazy, and I was just like, what is going on? It was funny, but it was like strange. So yeah, it was a lot of just people who knew Tyson, a lot of like young guys, like they were wearing wigs, they were wearing jerseys, they just, they were there to, I think, drink and get rowdy and have a good time. But from what I have heard, I think that the crowd as a whole in that match, I thought was great. But it sounds like, apparently they told Pablo like go back to construction, which is a bit more inappropriate, and they probably cannot get away with things in the same way that JW can at times. Love JW. I'm not saying anything JW does is racist, but I think that Don Stanley was giving the crowd, and hopefully those individuals in particular, some flack, and they should be removed for saying things like that. So don't blame Pablo for getting a little lippy at the end. Also don't think it was inappropriate for the PPA to fine him as well, because it's not, you can't really be doing that, but I think they should have kicked those fans out. Would have been a badge of honor to be like the first person kicked out of a PPA event, honestly, don't you think?
Yeah.
But I hope his fine wasn't for too much, and I feel like it probably wasn't. Speaking of insane fans, Dylan, did you know that guy at the Austin PPA who was just calling you daddy, like on mixed day and men's day?
Yeah, I think we had spoken before at another tournament,
Like
but
one time.
yeah, or maybe a couple, but yeah, I didn't know him that well. I
For
think,
those who want to like watch some comedy, watch the mixed match, Dylan and Leia, like the late, like the third game against Catherine and Tyson, because Tyson had a fan going crazy and Dylan had a fan going crazy, and this guy's like, finish it, daddy, like he's from, probably, sounds like he's from Nigeria or something. It was just the funniest thing ever.
yeah.
So those are the kinds of fans that really resonate with
What
Dylan.
was funny about that was Tyson's fan. I was talking to him before our match, and he's like, "Hey, what's up, Dylan? Huge fan. I just have to let you know that I'm rooting for you to win this next match, but I have to cheer for Tyson because Tyson's my boy. But just so you know, I am rooting for you." And then he proceeded to like cheer crazily for Tyson the
Very
entire match.
crazy. Wow, how could he have not meant that? I don't know. I think he's I don't know about that, because he was so loud, and then your fan was so loud, and then on men's day, I was sitting right beside him when you guys were playing Julian and Thomas, and it was straight comedy. It's like you had like an overhead, and he's like, "Do it, daddy!" And then like Thomas Wilson like got it back, and he comes over, and he's like, "Hey, not during the point, not during the point." It was just
Yeah, that's fine.
Daddy
What should be
Dill.
the protocol? What should be the protocol for PPA when they're dealing with fans like that, like at the Austin tournament or this past tournament in Pablo's situation?
I thought in Austin was fine. I think that it's just if people are being actually offensive, or really going crazy a lot during the points, then I think you should boot them.
Yeah.
But yeah, flipping off the crowd also cannot be a regular occurrence, but probably just need people to be removed before it gets to that point. But
Yeah.
Pablito's got that dog. It's funny, like I feel like everyone thought it was like legendary that Pablo did it. Like at least all the pros, no one thought it was like bad. It was like I was like, that boy Pablito. Like I tweeted
Yeah.
something like that, So I thought it was great. So that was a big source of drama this weekend, of course. But I don't really think it was a big deal at all. Okay, next topic. Oh, Dylan, sorry, I have one more question for you. So, were the Selkirk shoes the key to your success this weekend?
I think so. I think they give me like +5 dinking ability.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, they're
improved your
pretty.
stats a little bit.
They improve my stats a little bit.
I have to say, I'm not sponsored by Selkirk, so I can say this. I think that those shoes, and I have told Brandon Hubschman this, I think they look like Skechers, but not like Tyson's Skechers, but like what you think of when you think of Skechers.
A little bit, yeah.
You see that?
Yeah.
And just the logo too. It's like, but Dylan rocked him, got him a title, so there must be something. And it's all funny. So I said something to Dylan about his shoes, like on Thursday, the day before the tournament starts, and someone who one of my agent said, so I'm not too familiar with a lot of these players in pickleball, but I know Dylan, and Dylan seems to be a guy that everyone likes, but everyone just roasts all the time. Is that true? And I'm sitting, it's like me, Zane, and like Alex Newman. We're all doing a photo shoot for Thorlo at the stock company we're sponsored by. And I just didn't really know what to say. And I was just quiet. I was like, I guess so, but everyone likes him, but he's not like a GB. And of course he had no idea who that is. But we love you, Grant. Sorry I had to toss that stray, but just know that everybody also roasts Dylan.
Yeah.
But perhaps not. You don't get quite the same level, but Dylan is always roastable. Okay, next topic. I figure we got to talk about women's and mixed. We're talking about mixed first. Tyson and Lacey, undoubtedly story of the tournament. I didn't think that they were going to beat Jesse and Jay, and then I really didn't think they were going to beat us. But once they beat us, I was like, I think they can beat Ben and Andrea.
Yeah. Lacey was playing well, and so is Tyson. I feel like Tyson's underrated mixed player. Like he's pretty solid every tournament in mixed, especially.
He really is. I don't know why that me and Tyson haven't done that well together at MLP. I don't know why, because he's been doing really well on the whole. Like even when him and Catherine lose in the main, which is before the semis, which has happened a couple times recently, they still get fifth every time, and I don't think fifth place is given as much respect as it deserves. Like getting fifth is a really good result. You only lost once, and you had a long day, and you picked up a lot of wins. So it was always having long mixed days. Just doesn't make errors. Doesn't have a ton of offense with the backhand, but when he pokes it, it picks really good spots. They were great, and they really got us with the drive and crash, especially in the first game. And I feel like no one's really seen Lacey on the right, and her forehand is so stinking deceptive and flippy, and she's so good out of the air. Probably her and Georgia are the best women out of the air. Maybe Vivian David is also in that conversation for sure, but they played unreal.
Yeah. Did they go 3 games, or was it just 2 against Ben and Andrea?
I think it might have just gone 2, but I'm not sure.
2.
I'm not certain, but I think it might have just been 2. Yeah, but I know they lost to Georgia and J-Dub in 2. But a pretty close too.
11-9, 11-9. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So competitive all the way through. Which means that Rafa Hewitt may be getting his one chance in San Clemente.
Okay. You're not going to play with Tyson?
I mean, anything's possible. I haven't talked to, me and Lacey have talked a little bit, but it's like, me and Tyson are 4-4. 2 of those wins are over Tyler Loong and Megan Dazan. I think the other teams we beat were like Gabe and Jade, and then Kyle and Vivian. So
I think that'd be good for your team. I think Tyson and Lacey coming off that result, and then Rafa knowing that this is his chance to play really well with you is going to be even extra motivated. Yeah. It's going to be MLP Rafa. He's going to have MLP. Just the fact that it's MLP, it means he's already boosted a little bit. And then the fact that he's playing with you and that's his one chance, that could be good for you guys.
Yeah. So we talk about Rafa a lot. For those who don't know, Rafa will hound every player that he thinks is good. Be like, just give me one. I just need one chance. Give me one chance. Give me one. And so it's a bit of a joke, Yeah. Not a joke. It's just Rafa's getting his one chance, and so it's very possible that we talked about it a little bit before Daytona, but I'm feeling like it's likely. Might as well give it a go. Tyson and I haven't done that well. Rafa and Lacey are 3-7 as well. It's a miracle that I feel like that our team has done as well as it has, considering those mixed records. So feel like might as well give it a whirl. It'll be fun. I'll battle with Rafa. I'll have to try to get him to not drive in transition. But he does love to do that.
Yeah, he does.
So we'll
So
see.
you're just gonna try to pull him out of his element, is what you're saying? Because that's where Rafa thrives.
Rafa thrives the longer the point goes, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll have to see. Do we just leave Rafa as Rafa, or do we try to tame him? In ways that some might think would improve his game, but it might make him feel a little trapped. I don't know.
I don't think you mess with Rafa's game at MLP. I think you just leave him alone, let him do his thing.
There are times when you have to mess with him, because against James and Leia's playing one of the worst matches of her life probably, and Rafa wants to drive in transition at James, and it's like, please just dink to Leia, please, 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 please. It was like pulling teeth from the guy, but we got him to do it, and they won, and then me and Tyson proceeded to get smoked by Annalie and Hayden. But there are times when I think it would benefit Rafa to rein in the dog a little bit. Love you, Roth. Yeah. Go Hustlers. Yeah, and also Ben and Andrea coming in with the bronze. I watched the first game of that match. I thought that Ben wanted to be anywhere else, but they ended up pulling it together, so I feel a little bad for Riley and bad for Elise. But, me and Jimmy got sixth, so we didn't do the great thing. But we did beat Dylan. I did beat Dylan. Dylan, what do you have to say about that match?
They had a few lucky shots toward the end of the match that went their way and kind of got out of hand. Yeah, I don't have much to say about it. Just looking forward to the next one and moving on.
Yeah, fair. There was a point in that match before the side switch that literally made me laugh. You did the biggest pump fake, I'm going middle, I'm gonna poach, but then you just stayed on the line to hope that I would dink up your line. James and I literally both chuckled after the point. We didn't even say why. We just both chuckled just because you were trying so hard to get involved and get me to give you an earnable ball. But
ever since that match in Minnesota, I'm always looking for the Ernie against you now.
More than other women, would you say?
It's just such a good feeling. I got a little taste of the Ernie in Minnesota because for whatever reason you kept giving me opportunities, and then
I didn't know. I didn't know that dink wasn't there.
Yeah,
I didn't even know.
Now I think I look for it too much when I play against you. Now it's like a problem that I have.
You might not cheat over enough. That's interesting. There's levels to this. There's levels to this.
It's the game within the game.
Yeah, this is the drop hosts competing against each other in mix. Right now I'm taunting you about the Ernies, then it's am I going to give it to you, but you're going to be cheating middle too really hard? We don't know.
Next time I play, I'm just going to be thinking so much that it's going to be hit right to me or something. I'm just going to fumble, hit it into the net or something.
I hit 1 or 2 attacks out of the air that match though. I've been working on that a lot, and I was shoot, those were good.
You had one that was through the middle that was really good. I remember kind of early in the match.
Yeah,
I was man, I don't even know how we were supposed to defend that because that was good. Yeah,
so I just figured I've got Dylan in front of me. I'm so comfortable, can't lose. Let's try to be Vivian David right here. And then I missed one later in that. I literally said, you're not Vivian David.
Yeah.
But yeah, mixed was fun, kind of a weird day overall results wise, but I feel like mixed is so deep, and Vivian and Thomas weren't even there. I think Thomas comes back mid to late May is what Vivian told me. So excited for his return. All right. And then women's doubles. Callie and Lucy coming back on top. I feel like they're playing so much better. I feel like Callie sees most of the balls in that partnership, but I feel like she's been dinking really well. She's the only woman in the game to hit a 2-handed slice backhand attack. I do not think its efficacy is that stellar, but she does do it, and it works every once in a while, and her hands are filthy, especially when she connects on the forehand. Honestly, I've never been iced so hard, and I don't think I handled it that well. When I did get the balls, I kind of lost my focus at the end of the match. Andrea was also struggling with something with her rib that was pretty serious. So all in all, I was happy with our fight that match. But it was a little weird for me personally in the final. Just with, I just stopped seeing balls, and which was a little strange, but major props to them. And then the biggest draw in women's doubles is obviously the failed paddle. So Sarah Ansboury. So, okay, well, first, I suppose we should just talk about the paddle testing policy. So the PPA has instituted a policy where all paddles have to be tested and marked before quarterfinals. And this was the first tournament where they had to be tested for both grit and delamination. And they used it's an ultrasound device, and it's binary. It's either you pass or you fail. There's not really, it just checks that the paddle's like still together. I don't really know. Dylan, did you hear of any paddles failing? Like, did other than Sarah's, or
one of mine failed.
I'm just curious. What?
Yeah, one of my paddles actually failed.
Really?
Yeah, it was weird because so I brought it in for mixed doubles, and I had it tested before we played our first match of mixed doubles. And Carl, the guy that does the testing on site there, said that it passes, but it's getting close to going over the limit. I didn't really understand exactly what he was saying or what it was measuring, because he said it wasn't like a direct measurement of delamination, but he said like the core was breaking down, which puts it at risk for delaminating, or like it also puts it at risk for like having more pop to it, like more pop than normal. So anyway, I didn't really follow that 100%, but he said it was still good.
Major.
Huh?
Because you're a business major.
Because I'm a business major, yeah. Anyway, I kept playing with it, and I played with it. I played a mixed match with it, went back, had it tested again just to make sure it was still like it wasn't going over the limit. And he's like, it's exactly the same. Play another mixed match with it, had it tested, it's exactly the same. So all through mixed doubles, I kept periodically getting it checked, and it was still good. And then for men's doubles day, the next day, I came back in, played some warm up games with JW, Federico, Pablo, had it tested, it was fine. Played another game, and then came back and had it tested, and it was not good. It had finally like went over the limit, and so I had to retire it.
Wow, that must have been I'm surprised. Did you have to use a new one before the match against Rafa and Christian? Is that what maybe a reason why you think that match was so close? Just curious.
No, I think
because I've seen you with a new paddle.
I had another one ready to go. I had one paddle, one backup paddle ready to go. So yeah, it was a non-factor, but yeah, it was weird because he said pay attention to see if it has any more like unnatural pop coming off of it, or if it's making a different sound, and that's like the giveaway that it's time to retire it, put it away. And I didn't notice, like the whole time I was using it, I didn't notice anything different, or that the ball was coming off faster or was making a different noise or anything. And I was like really paranoid the whole time that was going to be the case. I wasn't going to detect it, and then it was going to get challenged and be illegal. So that's why I kept going in and checking it. And it finally was illegal, but I never would have known unless I checked it, because there was no giveaway, in my opinion. It wasn't like making a different noise coming off any faster.
That's very, very interesting that 002s do that. Tyson has told me that some 002s do delam, but it's a totally different tech, of course, than what we think of when we think of delamination. And it's interesting because Tyson's the paddle that Travis challenged did fail. In Red Rock, Travis challenged one of Tyson's paddles and it did fail. So some 002s apparently are a little bit problematic. James uses new ones so frequently it's never been an issue, but that's interesting. It's interesting, the sound that you didn't hear anything, because well, with these like thermoformed and EVA paddles, the sound is like very obvious. Would you agree? Like no one knows when something crosses the line, right? But would you agree that you can like hear when something is at least pretty far gone or starting to go?
Yeah, I don't have a lot of experience, honestly, playing against delaminated paddles, so I want to know.
Well, I was getting my paddle tested before the quarters, and like Sarah was in there, Jill was in there, someone else, and Carl and Sam were just talking, and they said like 3 paddles had failed. And so I guess one of them must have been yours at that point. But 2 other paddles had failed prior to like quarterfinal play or something, but they weren't failures that cost people matches. They were just either voluntarily given like yours, or like I, had my paddle tested like before Women's Day even started, or before Mixed Day even started. I had my paddle tested after our first match on mixed day because I knew I was playing Rafa in the second round. And I was like, I wasn't worried about deflection or delamination at all. I was just worried about grit, because Rafa will test a paddle. So I went and got mine tested, and mine was fine. So like voluntary, don't know. But 3 paddles failed at least prior to what happened with Sarah's. And what I've heard from a couple people who were, me and Lacey are very good friends. So me and her might have talked. Sorry, Lace. So pre-match, and the PPA released this as well. Sarah's paddle, similar to yours, I think she was warned this is like close to going. He recommended she not play with it. But she did. And then after the match, I watched a little bit of that, and the paddle was clearly behaving strangely. Like Sarah did like a, reaching, like reset, and the ball went boom, like a trampoline, like way deep, so far deep. And it was very loud. And so they challenged it, and it failed. And I think, it's binary, pass, fail. But it's a bit, of course it's unfortunate, and there's a lot of, it's like, shoot, but it was legal before, but then after. So I guess she either had she didn't have a backup paddle, or she had a backup paddle that failed as well. But that paddle, and Riley Newman is using it as well. And Travis also said that he thought Riley's paddle might be illegal. At MLP, I thought Riley's paddle was delaminated. It was so loud. And others were talking about it too. So I feel like that paddle does break down and gets poppier. So I'm not really surprised it happened. But yeah, what are your thoughts on the issue as a whole, or kind of about everything that happened?
Yeah, I think, well, for me, I'm just worried that I'm going to be told like my paddle's fine going into a match, but then after a match, it's not going to be fine. It's going to get challenged, and I'm not even going to realize it. And then I'm going to have to like forfeit the match. That's my biggest concern, or fear anyway. But I'm glad that they're doing paddle testing now. Everybody's got to put their paddles in before the quarterfinal match. I think that's definitely needed, especially since 3 paddles were retired or illegal this weekend. So I think
4,
they're headed in the right direction.
Now. At least
4.
4. And then in Red Rock, 2 of the 3 that were challenged failed as well. So yeah, I think it's great that they're doing it. Maybe there needs to be some kind of a system in which if they pass a paddle pre-match, but you're warned it could fail and you still choose to use it, then it's like, that's a risk you're choosing to take, and you'll be defaulted if that paddle fails. But if, there's no warning given, and then it breaks, I don't know. It's tough because there should be like a threshold, right? I don't know, but I feel like that's maybe something they could do. Like if you're warned pre-match, you still choose to use it, it fails. Yeah. That's kind of on you. But if it looks like it's totally fine and it breaks, like that's kind of not really on you. It's more so on the manufacturer. But I feel like with some of these paddles, you can tell when it starts to go. Like DJ this weekend was not using the Carbon Power series. There was also, the whole big report MLP released, and I believe it was like 6 paddles from 4 manufacturers failed. They didn't fail, but they were well out of spec of like, the averages. So
yeah,
it's really tough. It's messy. It's unfortunate that it happened to Sarah, but she was warned before the match. And so I feel like she was told it was very close to the edge, as were you, so it's like a risk to take. And just walking around on Thursday, I heard like someone hitting with that paddle, and I like turned, and it was Sarah. I could just hear it was so loud, and the sound was totally the delamination sound. And it was Sarah playing mixed with Pesa, and I was like, oh, like, okay, that's the Gamma, like that's the paddle Riley's using. But just to say, I thought Riley's paddle this weekend sounded totally fine. I just think maybe the one he was using at MLP, he'd been using for a while. I don't know, but it's clearly something that Gamma's got to fix. And I think it's great that with this testing now, companies are really going to have to start fixing these problems, because else their players are, can suffer huge consequences, as can, their brand's reputations.
Yeah.
But you might have to use a new paddle a little more frequently. So how long have you been using that paddle that they said failed?
I have no idea, honestly, because I had brought like 5 paddles with me, and I like kept tinkering with them and like changing some of the weights on them, or like the lead tape on them, and like re-gripping them. And so I lost track like 2 of the paddles I had were new, and like 3 of them were between like 2 weeks and 3 or 4 months old, and I just lost track. So I don't know.
All right. So Dylan is clearly not that anal about his paddles. Um, how much are your paddles weighing right now? I'm just curious.
9 ounces, right around 9 ounces.
Wow,
What do yours weigh?
that's pretty heavy. Mine were at 7.9. It's funny. I thought they were 8.3, but then I bothered to weigh them at home, and they were 7.9, and I was like, that's just embarrassing.
That's pretty light. That's pretty soft.
Yeah, I know. So then before MLP, I added weight, and now they're at 8.1.
Okay. As long as you're above the 8 mark.
I know. I was like, that's actually embarrassing that I'm using a 7.9 paddle. I was like, my hands aren't even fast. I'm just using a paddle with low swing weight and that weighs nothing. So now they're at 8.1. I think I might start adding a little bit, like, at a time. Maybe actually get up to 8.3. Maybe. I don't know. I feel like I'm doing fine with it. It's just like the power of having a little bit heavier of a paddle. But
what's like the average weight, would you say, for pros?
I think the MLP report had the actual average. I feel like it's probably around, with men and women, it's probably around like 8.5, 8.6, I would think.
Okay.
I feel like I would guess it's around 8.5. I feel like a lot of men weigh their paddles up pretty
But
heavy.
and on the heaviest side, it was like 10 ounces.
Yeah, I don't know who was using that. Who would you
Not
think
sure.
was using that?
I know Pablo has a paddle that's close to, or like around 10 ounces.
Really?
I think Federico was using like a 10-ounce paddle. I think Federico said it was his.
No way, really?
Yeah, but I don't think he's using that heavy anymore. Like this past weekend, I think he said he was using 9.2. But when he like submitted the paddle at MLP, he said that he gave him like a 10-ounce one or something like that.
Dang. Yeah, Andre Diascu told me his 002s were weighted at like 9.6 or something, and I was like, oh my gosh, and he still hits that slow.
Yeah.
Because Andre doesn't have the heaviest hand by any means, and I was like, he's using an 002 that's like 9.6 or something, and that's still how fast he hits. I was just like, dang, I might have more natural power than him. Like,
He's just got soft hands. That's why he's such a good resetter.
I guess so. Like, Lord knows he needs that paddle clearly. But I was just like, I have more power than Andre, because if I use an 002 at 9.6, I'd be hitting the ball a lot harder than he is. I'm pretty sure of that. But yeah, so I feel like this paddle drama is going to continue. There's a lot of growing pains right now, a lot of stuff for them to figure out, but they're making good steps. I think definitely what we had this weekend is a lot better than the U.S. Open's policy of, if you fail the test or if you challenge a paddle, someone's getting banned for a year. I think that's absurd. Yeah. I have a question, Dylan. Would you, now that there's been a successful paddle challenge, right after the match, would you be more inclined to challenge someone's paddle that you thought might be illegal?
Yeah, for sure. If I thought it was illegal, I would definitely challenge it.
Yeah, I think that's really good. I feel like it was kind of like a taboo thing almost to challenge someone's paddles, but I feel like now with, Leia and others, it's like it shouldn't really be that taboo. It's like, if you think someone's paddle's illegal, you should just challenge it, and if you're wrong, say sorry, I was wrong, and pay $250, and it's like nothing personal.
Yeah.
And to prevent it, you can just do what I did. Like, if I thought Rafa might challenge my paddle, so I just went in and got it tested before, because I know it's not going to get grittier over the course of a match. So, you can do that as well to relieve yourself of some of the anxiety. But
yeah, I've got to give a quick shout out, since we were talking about the U.S. Open, to Althoff Merchant, who took home the double gold and senior men's doubles and senior mixed doubles. He was so excited. He texted me right after, because Althoff and I are keeping track of like our medals this year, and we're like kind of doing a contest with each other. Like, whoever has the most points by the end of the year, or whoever has the fewest points by the end of the year, has to buy the winner dinner. We're going to go to a steakhouse, but all my medals are worth more. Like, my medal, like a gold medal for me, is worth like 6 points, silver 4, bronze 3, and then gold for him is 3, silver 2, bronze 1.
I feel like you should win for sure, though.
It's
Because
close though. Like,
Althoff doesn't even play like mixed. This was like his first time playing senior pro mixed. He just plays like senior pro men's and then men's.
yeah, he did get extra points. He got extra points for beating Dave in the final of the U.S. Open. He gave himself extra points for that. It's close though. Like right now, the score is 26-25 in my favor.
Wow.
4 months into the year, so it's pretty
every
close.
match matters. Every
Yeah,
event matters. Wow, that's huge.
that was I think that was the first time we had Althoff and Dane and Dave all in the same court of a senior men's match, right?
I think you're right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I need to watch that. I've been meaning to. I watched just the first point of the mixed match was insane against Rick and Beth. Althoff literally texted me and James as well right after he won. I don't remember if it was mixed or men's, and we were just getting off the court from losing to Tyson and Lacey, and so I was not in a good mood. But he was like saying he won, and it was mixed, and he was like, check my lateral, baby. Because James has been saying that he wouldn't get drafted the Challenger League because he can't move laterally for mixed. And so Althoff's always been like, check my lateral. And James is actually playing men's with Althoff at Beer City, which is going to be a total riot, and which I'm so excited for. And I hope that they play you and J-Dub. I will go
That'll be
crazy.
fun. That'll be
You
fun.
hope not?
No, that'll be fun. I hope we get that matchup.
Yeah, I hope so too. Yeah, congrats to Althoff. Congrats to Paris. I know Simone also had a great event. But yeah, do you have any questions for me, Dylan, or anything? You know?
No, not off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Who are your partners for the next tournament?
The next tournament, Andrea and James again for me, running it back.
Okay. Is Andrea going to be 100% for the next tournament?
I think so. I think it was like a chiropractor thing. Like she just had to get it popped in. She might still be some soreness, but I haven't spoken to her. I hope so. You know, I thought we were playing really well together this weekend. And,
yeah.
We didn't have any match that was too close up until the final.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Dylan. Who do you think will get drafted higher the next MLP, me or you?
Man, a lot could happen between now and then, so it's hard to say.
I
think if it happened right now?
Yeah, if it happened right now.
Probably you.
You think?
Yeah, I hate to say it, but probably you.
Maybe we should do a bet.
Nah, it's definitely you.
It could be me, but I also don't know if the philosophy will change. Like maybe people will want men first rather than women more so.
What do you think is the way to go about it?
I kind of think men with that dog in them should be taken first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like I have a question mark. I have a question mark beside your name, so I don't know if I have question marks currently. I think Dylan and I next episode, everyone, are going to flesh out this list a little bit more. You know, we've thought about ranking players, you know, ranking people, but that's tough. I was thinking a way to do it would be to have Dylan rank the women and I could rank the men. And then if anyone is, you know, upset, any of our friends, it could be like, I could be like, well, like Dylan doesn't really know. So, you know, like vice versa. Whereas if I rank the women and you rank the men, it's a little bit more personal, I think. But, you know, there are a few men on my list with question marks beside them. JW has a question mark. Does he have that dog in him? Jay DeVilliers also has a question mark. I just added Pablo to the list. I think I'm going to have to add Federico. I do think Federico has that dog in him. Julian is on my list with like an exclamation point. You know, I'm not saying every tournament he plays at his best, but when he is all dog. But yeah, right now I do think I would probably get drafted above Dylan, but I feel like I would go like 1 or 2 spots above Dylan. I don't think I should go, you know. I was really hoping Dylan would have kept falling in this draft, or, you know, I was going to take him, but Andrea and BLQK beat me to it.
Yeah. It's better to go later for sure.
It's definitely better.
Everybody hopes to get picked later.
Yeah, everybody wants to get picked later. And someone was asking me about this and they were like, why would you want to get picked later? Like, it's good. And I was like, I can never be on Ben Johns' team. Like, that is not something that can happen for me, you know, whereas for others it can. So, yeah. But, all right, Dylan, are we done here?
I think we're done.
All right. thanks everyone for listening. Hopefully this episode was decently juicy. We reported on some of the drama this weekend. Pablo's that guy. Ben and Collin surprisingly out, and then a little bit of our thoughts on the paddle situation. Hopefully that continues to get fixed. Sorry that Sarah was the person that kind of went down for it along with Gamma, but there's a lot of growing pains in that regard, and hopefully they continue to improve everything. And congrats to Dylan again on his gold medal. Many more to come.
Hopefully. Thank you.
But not a Nix if I'm there.
Definitely if Anna's there. If we play in a final, no way I lose in that situation.
I don't think so, Dylan. I feel like if I'm locked in, it's not even James. It's just me. I feel like I just feel like I handle you well in mixed.
Okay. Fair enough. I don't know. I feel like if we met in a final, best 3 out of 5, I like my chances in that situation. Our matches last weekend is like 1 game to 15. Like, who's even trying at that point? We're just playing for 5th place, like 20 points on the line.
That's true. You're not wrong. But I just don't know. I see Dylan in front of me. I'm just like, not, it's just like, it's fine. It's not like you're not Big H is what I'm trying to say. You're not Big H. When Big H is in front of me, I freak out a little bit. But Dylan Schmillen,
I'll have to work on that. I'll have to work on my intimidation factor, because I feel like you, along with a lot of other people, probably feel like that.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Also, just so everyone knows, Dylan and I could have been playing Beer City together, but he didn't want to play with me. So me and Jay DeVilliers are going to take him out. So that'll be a good test, actually.
Yeah.
Beer City. I hope we play in the main draw at Beer City.
That'll be fun.
Who are you playing with, Leia?
Yeah.
Okay. Beer City, guys. Beer City. I hope we play. That'll be fun. All right. Okay. Bye, everyone. The drop out. We'll be back hopefully next week. But all right. Adios.
See ya.